Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's case study on esports auto racing. My name is Charlie Kraus, and I manage Limelight's product marketing for all our video services, online and demand. I have over 25 years of both data networking and online video experiences. So to start with what we know about, the world is changing all through 2020, of course, during the lockdowns. So many activities went online, from exercise classes to cooking classes to school to just so many other activities. And as we roll into 2021 and things are starting to reopen, big things are happening in terms of the sports world and the gaming world. I just completed a survey about online gaming and esports. It just showed the very aggressive growth of things like esports tournaments around the world. So today we're going to focus on motorsports. And this is from a company called iRacing that has a really exciting esports platform for all sorts of motorsports. And we'll talk about how that works. So what they've built is a platform that has a database of, at the moment, about 100 officially licensed car replicas and sanctioned replicas of the world's some of the most popular racing circuits in North America, Europe, and Asia. And what they allow is competition. It could be friends just getting together and deciding on a racetrack and picking cars and racing around it. In fact, during last year, a couple of actual motorsports races were actually done on this platform because of the lockdowns and basically it shut down the motorsports business. So in North America, we have stock car racing called NASCAR. In Europe, some of the Formula open wheel races were actually done on this platform by the actual drivers, whether it be Grand Prix drivers or NASCAR drivers, and actually driving the simulations of their actual cars. And they would be in their own homes, racing head-to-head on this track, and it actually counted for points in their leagues. And it was even televised, so you could actually watch, and we were seeing like millions of fans were watching these simulated races by these professional racers all during last year. So what's exciting about this is when people watched it, their first thought was, wow, I'd like to be able to do that too. Well, you can. So iRacing has opened this up so that you and your friends can get on the platform, go through the database of the cars and the racing circuits, and either drive on these famous circuits yourself or race against your friends. And they're very, very accurate. As it says here, they're officially sanctioned. So what they allowed them iRacing to do is actually go around these circuits and make measurements of it and build an exact replica. Every bump, bank turn, and so forth is all replicated. Even the monstrous Nürburgring in Germany is here. And they have 100 different types of tracks and types of racing. Let's look at what some of these are. So certainly open wheel, very, very popular, like Formula One, and all the well-known Formula One tracks are part of the database. Rallycross, usually popular in Europe more than North America, but racing around on public roads and all kinds of seasons and weather. And there's a good selection of famous rallycross cars you can drive. Then road races like the 24 Hours of Le Mans is done, and so that track. And then in North America, southern U.S. here is popular as NASCAR, and then all the oval tracks are part of this database. So you can pick any of these circuits and cars and go racing. So what's the challenge? Well, racing has seasons like any other sport, and iRacing updates things during the off season. They build new cars in the simulators. They add more tracks. So at the beginning of each racing season, everybody wants to download the latest version of the platform, just like any other esports game. It always updates and you have to download it. But as we know, these files are pretty big. So if you're an existing player and you have most of it, you're just getting an update, and maybe that's only 5 gigabytes. But if you're brand new, you have to upload the entire database of all the cars and racetracks, and that goes over 30 gigabytes. And when you have literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribing players here, and they're all trying to do this, it's possible that they once in a while they see inconsistent download performance that really annoys people. It creates an additional burden for the iRace team because they have to help people debug it. And what they really want to do is focus on building their race cars and detailing everything to make everything as updated and as exciting and detailed as possible. So they really wanted to solve this problem. So what the requirements were from a network that could basically cover their global base, because they have customers all over the world. So they wanted to be able to reach them no matter where they were. So they looked at content delivery networks. And one of the other requirements is that content delivery network have peering relationships in the regions where, not only in the regions where their fans and drivers are, but the right capacity. So if you're looking at a particular region that has a huge number of subscribers, you want to make sure that the ISP that delivers that has the capacity to handle that. So it was both location and capacity of all the ISPs around the world. So that was a consideration of matching up their global requirements with what CDNs had. And then of course capacity. So these games have very high definition video and effects in there. And when you're playing the game, that's a lot of bandwidth coming in and out of your laptop or whatever you're playing on to render all these scenes and tracks and the scenery around them and the cars and so forth, and everything's moving in fast motion. So the faster the connection to the internet you have, the better all this will render. And of course, in a particular region, if you have a lot of players, a lot of racers running, and they're all running on high definition, wanting high definition connections, that again puts the burden on that local ISP to have the capacity to handle it. And so, what it really came down to is no matter where they're located or what kind of internet connection, they just want the fastest possible download and the best experience possible while they're racing. One of the things I'm showing here, and the reason I picked this image is to get a feel for what some of the professional drivers were using when they were actually racing on this platform. So it was actually like a replica of the inside of their race car. So they had a steering wheel, they had the pedals, they had the gear shift, and some of them had 3 or 4 curved large monitors in front of them to watch so they could see all around the track like they would in their actual race car. They even had racing seats there, although obviously they're not going to face many G-forces in their living rooms. But this is typical of what these setups were like. Even a lot of the just racing fans that do this at home have built elaborate setups like these that you can find on the internet if you look there. It's pretty amazing what's available. So the solution was to use a large CDN, and it was really what they really needed to do is 2 things. One is not only the delivery of the files, but to build a distributed storage of them. So if you think about it, if you have a big game, an esports game of any sort, and it's many gigabytes of traffic, you probably don't want hundreds of thousands of your subscribers trying to pull those files from your own origin storage or your own origin server. So what they do with the CDN is they pre-cache all these big files in the points of presence globally. So I'm just showing a small diagram of a CDN, and you have local POPs, and they download all the new files at the beginning of the racing season into these POPs. In the case of iRacing, they may be using 100 POPs around the globe to be able to reach all their players and subscribers. So they would pre-cache all the software loads and files in that so that any remote user can just request them from their nearest POP and download them. So there's several advantages of this. So because it's distributed, it gets you the best performance because you're going to get it from a local nearest to you point of presence to pull the files. It's high performance. And it's very robust because automatically we do replication of the files. So you can load them into a few locations and then automatically will replicate them to the rest of the locations. So again, you're not burdening the origin of where these files are to do that. So the network will take care of that for you. We do internet mapping. So this is to understand where users are and where the points of presence are and map them and connect them to what the nearest POP is that has the capacity that they need in the performance. And we use a private backbone network. So this avoids the congestion of the typical congested internet. And so this gives them a good result. Now let's take a look at what that is. So when they decided to implement this, they've chosen Limelight CDN based on tests that they ran as part of their decision making. And they engaged with some advanced service architects that we have to help customers get onto our CDN platform as fast as possible. And in less than a week, we had iRacing up and running and being able to distribute files just in time for a new racing season and test it. So as the season started, the racers immediately noticed the big improvement. They received lots and lots of messages congratulating on fixing the slow downlight problems that everybody was fighting with in the previous season. They were very, very happy that, wow, this is really performing really well right now. So it increased their customer satisfaction. The iRacing team didn't have to spend time troubleshooting and helping people download. And it allowed them to focus on what they do best, which is creating the most realistic online motorsports experience. So we thank you for your time on this. I hope this was informative. If you want to know more about either the iRacing or about Limelight's services for video and file downloads and things like this, you can just go to limelight.com. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the esports event and hope to see you again on another webinar down the road. Thank you very much.